Hello everyone, welcome to Durrett Steak. It's that time of the year where today starts the bowl games and it's time to go over my predictions for those bowl games. I'm going to make all these pretty quick, so let's get started. You get the Bahamas Bowl, you got UAB versus Miami, Ohio. I'm going UAB there. Duluth Trading Gear Bowl, you got 24 Troy versus 25 UTSA. So the Sun Belt champions versus the Conference USA champions. I'm going with Troy there, barely. Next, you got the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, you got Louisville versus Cincinnati. I'm going Louisville there. Now it's tricky because both head coaches are not there and both starting quarterbacks are not there, but I'm going to go with Louisville, assuming they have the better talent. Distribution, Las Vegas Bowl, I'm going 14 Oregon State over Florida because Anthony Richardson's going to the draft, and so they're going to be on the third string quarterback since the back got released. But I'm going to go with Oregon State there. Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, Fresno State and Mountain West Conference champions versus Washington State. I'm going with Jay Keen there in the Fresno State Bulldogs to win that game. Should be a close one though. Landing Tree Bowl, you got Rice versus Southern Miss. Rice still only 5-17 to make a bowl game because Appalachian State couldn't qualify despite being 6-6. So I'm going to go with Southern Miss here. They're the better team. Next, New Mexico Bowl, you got SMU versus BYU. I would normally go BYU because of all their injuries and transfer portal leaves and all that. That's why I'm going with SMU. Fiscal Bowl, Boise State and Mountain West runner-ups versus North Texas Conference USA runner-ups. This is one of my confident picks of the week. I'm going Boise State for that one. Myrtle Beach Bowl, you got UConn versus Marshall. I would love to go UConn. They're a nice story and all that, but I'm just going to, my guys tell me to go Marshall here. So it'll be a close game, but Marshall wins. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl, you got San Jose State versus Eastern Michigan. I'm going with San Jose State here, although I do think it'll be a close game. Boca Raton Bowl, you got Toledo MAC champions versus Liberty. Now, that was the Liberty from a month, who was playing like a month ago to go Liberty, but since Hugh Freeze is gone, I'm going Toledo there. They have more of the momentum. Next, you get the New Orleans Bowl. You got South Alabama versus West Kentucky. I'm going South Alabama. The only two losses are to ranked UCLA team and ranked Troy team. They're a very good team. I'm going South Alabama. Next, you got the Lockheed Martin Armed Bowl. You got Air Force versus Baylor. It'll be a closer game than what people think because Air Force runs the ball a lot, time possession, all that, but Baylor will win in the end. Reyes Technologies Independence Bowl, Houston versus Louisiana. Even as a home game for Louisiana, basically, I'm going with Houston there. They're a way better team, as long as they show up. Unit Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, you have Missouri versus Wake Forest. It's interesting how Missouri didn't want Kansas State, but now they get Wake Forest, which is arguably a harder opponent, but I'm going with my gut that Missouri is going to win this game for some reason, so I have them barely winning this game. Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, you got San Diego State versus Middle Tennessee. I'm going San Diego State because of their defense. Quick Lane Bowl, Bowling Green versus New Mexico State. Both teams haven't made bowl games in a long time, so congrats to both of them. But in the end, I'm going with Bowling Green. I do think they're the better team. New Mexico State's lucky to be in the bowl game. Camilla Bowl, Buffalo versus Georgia Southern. Again, Buffalo kind of squeaked their way to a bowl game to like the way they've been playing over the past month. So I'm going to go with Georgia Southern. First Responder Bowl, you got Utah State versus Memphis. Utah State's been very hot recently, but I do think Memphis is the better overall team, so I'm going Memphis there. Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl, you got Coastal Carolina, who Grayson McCall said it will play in this game despite announcing that he's going to transfer, versus East Carolina. I'm going with East Carolina here. They're the better team. They've had ups and downs, but when they play good, they're the better team. And especially since Coastal Carolina doesn't have their coach anymore. Guaranteed Rate Bowl, you got Oklahoma State versus Wisconsin. Apparently Luke Fickell is going to coach in this game despite being a new coach, which is rare. But for both teams, they don't have a starting quarterback. But, I mean, Wisconsin, I feel like that's more fine with because they rely on the heavy run game anyways. So I feel like they'll do that to Oklahoma State, who could be had in the run game. And I feel like Wisconsin barely wins in the low-scoring game there. Duke versus UCF. I feel like UCF's defense is not going to be able to stop Duke's offense. So I'm going to take Duke there to win pretty easily, actually. There's a Liberty Bowl. You got Kansas, who finally made a bowl game, versus Arkansas. And this would be an entertaining, high-scoring affair, but I'm going to go with Arkansas here. You got the Holiday Bowl. You got 15 Oregon versus North Carolina. I'm going to go and go with 15 Oregon here. While there's a bunch of players out for both teams, I think Oregon's going to finish strong. Texas Bowl. You got Texas Tech versus Ole Miss. I'm going to take Ole Miss here, mainly because Texas Tech's defense is not good at stopping the run. That's what Ole Miss loves to do. Bad Boy Bowl versus Pinstripe Bowl. You got Syracuse versus Minnesota. I'm going Minnesota here. I feel like their defense could shut down a Syracuse offense that's been struggling for the past month. Cheez Bowl. You got 13 Florida State versus Oklahoma. I'm going Florida State here. Oklahoma's defense is not going to be able to stop Florida State's offense. That's what it basically comes down to. Flair Alamo Bowl, you get 12 Washington versus 20 Texas. This should be a very close game, very entertaining good game. but I'm going to go with Michael Penix Jr. of Washington to get the job done. Duke's Mayo you got 23 North Carolina State versus Maryland. Again, coin flip type of game here. But I'm going to go with Maryland, who has the better quarterback right now, to win the game. Despite North Carolina State potentially being the better team there, but I'm going to go with the better quarterback there. 20th the Tiger Bowl, you got Pittsburgh versus 18 UCLA. Again, close game here, should be a shootout, but I like UCLA and their offense to get the job done. Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, you have 21 Notre Dame versus 19 South Carolina. Now, Notre Dame, their quarterback Drew Pines in the transfer portal. Their tight ends already declared for draft. He's out. So it's like, and there's a bunch of other Notre Dame players out as well. I mean, a few for South Carolina as well, but Spencer Rattler, I heard, still playing. If that's the case, I'm going to go with South Carolina there with their hot momentum that they're on right now to win this game. And I think they'll win pretty handily if Spencer Rattler plays. Next, you get the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl. You have Wyoming versus Ohio. Again, coin flip type game here. But I'm going to go with Wyoming and their defense to slow down Ohio and their offense. Next, you get the Capital One Orange Bowl. You got 7 Clemson versus 6 Tennessee. A bunch of players out for both teams, obviously, but to me, I mean, with Hooker out and both the star wide receivers declared for the draft, so Tennessee's offense won't look the same. So therefore, I think Clemson, with Kubiak to start now, I feel like they're going to get the job done and win. Next, you got the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl. You got the Kentucky versus Iowa. This one's literally the hardest one for me to predict because both quarterbacks are out and both offenses have been kind of stinky recently. But I'm going to go with Kentucky to win by like 1 point barely in a low scoring. This would probably be the lowest scoring bowl game of all of them. Next, you get the All-State Sugar Bowl. You got 5 Alabama versus 9 Kansas State. I can see a scenario where Kansas State definitely wins this game, especially if Alabama's not motivated enough. But since Bryce Young's playing, Anderson's playing, and all that, I do feel like that will be the difference in the game, and Alabama wins. Next, PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. In the playoffs, you got 2 Michigan, 3 TCU. I think TCU can make this interesting for the first half or so, but in the second half, Michigan, like they have been recently, will start to pull away in the second half, and Michigan will win. Next, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. You got 1 Georgia versus 4 Ohio State. Again, this will be a very close game, even in the fourth quarter, but then at the very end, Georgia will pull away. Relic Quest Bowl, you got 22 Mississippi State versus Illinois. I feel bad for Illinois here because they're getting a fired up Mississippi State team, trying to honor Mike Leach. And I feel like Mississippi State will get the win there to honor Mike Leach. Citrus Bowl, you got 17 LSU versus Purdue, which the quarterback's right now, he's not playing this game, and he's their whole offense, so I'm definitely going with LSU to get the win here. Pretty confident on that one. Next, you get the Gator Cotton Bowl, 10 USC versus 16 Tulane. This would be a shootout offense type of game, but I feel like Tulane's defense, assuming Caleb Williams is fine and all that, won't be able to slow down USC's offense. USC wins there. And then last but not least, the Rose Bowl. You got 8 Utah versus 11 Penn State. Again, close game coming down right to the wire. I mean, it doesn't help for Utah. Their tight ends going to set up the bowl game. Their best cornerbacks going to set up the bowl game. But at least Utah still has Cam Rising and enough there on offense to get the job done still. I feel like Penn State's kind of limited on offense, so I feel like this could be the game where Utah can finally take advantage and win the Rose Bowl there. So I've been winning barely. And then if you do get a Michigan-Georgia championship game, that'd be a good game. That would. But I feel like in the end, Georgia will win there, so I do think Georgia's going to win the championship. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel, Tony Valley. Thank you very much. You all enjoy the bowl games, and you all have a wonderful weekend.